picture there, you can see we have a guest. Was I live or I just went live now? Thank you so much, Zimbabweans, those who are just joining us tonight or today or this afternoon, depending on where you are, on which part of the world you are. We are joined here by Mr. Chauke, a writer, a journalist, and a documentary and filmmaker of note. We are going to be discussing a very contentious issue here, the Gukurahundi issue. We'll never leave it. We'll never stop talking about Gukurahundi until we get all the answers. And Mr. Chauke here is going to be giving us some of the answers that he has managed to get on his research. He has done a documentary that has to be developed into a film. You know, it's a multi-million-dollar film that he intends to release as soon as he gets the funds to do that. But for now, we are talking about the documentary. Thank you so much, Mr. Chauke, for joining us. Please take a few minutes to just greet our viewers and listeners across the world.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Good evening to everyone. I think if you're in South Africa like me, it's in the evening, but in some parts of the world, it's not in the evening. But good evening to everyone.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Leader Barbra, you can take a few minutes to greet our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Chief Chauke. Linjani mthwakazi omuhle, siyalamukela namhlanje kuhlelo lwethu lapho sizabe silomnumzana uChauke esixoxela ngendaba yakhe ayibhalayo eGukurahundi. Engithemba ukuthi abanengi silokho silemibuzo eminingi ngendaba yeGukurahundi, but thina sithe kasoze sithule indaba le ize ilungisiswe. Sifuna indaba le iphume egcekeni, abantwana bethu abazalwa after 1980 bebekwazi ukuthi kwaba le ndaba eje, kuphume egcekeni. Makadini mhuri yeZimbabwe, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Zimbabwe, from wherever you are. Yes, Chief Chauke, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leader Barbra. Please, those who are just joining us, let's share this video. We want as many people as possible to hear about this documentary, to hear about this groundbreaking documentary that is going to be talking about Gukurahundi. And our author here approached this from another angle that has never been touched by anyone. So that's why we want everyone, every Zimbabwean, to hear about what Mr. Chauke is going to be talking about here. And we'll be starting soon. Let me just fix my settings here. Leader, Mr. Chauke, maybe we can just begin by you telling us who you are, because people want to know whom they're talking to. Who is Mr. Chauke?
Okay. My name is Brian Chauke. I was born in Lundi, which is part of Masvingo, but I'm currently based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'm a filmmaker. I've done some work for TV. I've done some ads as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an impressive CV you have over there, Leader Barbra.
Yes, thank you so much, Chief. I was trying to share here on Facebook.
Yes, please. Don't worry. We'll give you a few minutes to do that. Make sure you're sharing, because we want this to be shared. So if you are sharing, that's good. I was also sharing here when I was talking at the same time. So please, let's share this video with as many of our friends as possible.
Yes. Ngiyabonga kakhulu Chief Chauke. Mnumzana Chauke, ungasitshela na ngendaba yakho film eGukurahundi, kumbe esingathi i-documentary yakho leyi obuye ngayo namuhla, ungasitshela yini ukuthi imayelana ngalani? abantu sebemelele bafuna ukuthi bezwe ukuthi usiphatheleni, kuyini okubhalileyo. Ngizwe umnumzana uChief Joshwe ekhuluma ukuthi wena ubuya ngelinye icele elitshiyene labanye abaseke bakhuluma ngendaba leyi eGukurahundi. Sitshela ucasisele uzulu ukuthi wena indaba yakho eGukurahundi imi kanjani. Ngiyabonga.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me start from explaining what Gukurahundi means and what it is. Actually, Gukurahundi, it's a Shona word which means the early rains that washes away the chaff before spring rains. And unfortunately, in this situation, what was referred to as chaff being washed away, it was unarmed civilians of Matabeleland and Midlands. Gukurahundi was a series of massacre of people of Matabeleland and Midlands. It was carried out by the government of ZANU-PF and its highly North Korean trained 5th Brigade, which is also known as the Gukurahundi soldiers. During this time, a lot of women were raped, a lot of people were killed, including children. School children were abducted from schools, being raped repeatedly by these soldiers. And they killed 20,000 people. This number, 20,000 people, it comes from the CCJP, which was very much active on the ground during the time of Gukurahundi, as to taking the numbers and witnesses and so forth. Just in 2010, the organization Genocide Watch, it labeled the Gukurahundi massacres as a genocide.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
So what is your film about? What angle did you take? What is it about?
Okay. Okay. The angle that I've taken, it's an angle that a lot of people haven't looked at. But according to my research, from what I got from my research, what I discovered was Gukurahundi, it wasn't a tribal war, as because a lot of people that think it was a tribal war. It was a political war, because soon after independence, in 1980, when ZANU-PF came into power, they wanted to introduce one-party state, and back then ZAPU, it was the strong opposition, and we all know that ZAPU's stronghold, it was Matabeleland and Midlands. So ZANU-PF, they wanted to introduce one-party state, and their stumbling block was ZAPU. So they used Gukurahundi to try and force ZAPU into surrender and major parties with them, which is what happened to end the era of Gukurahundi.
So maybe you can tell us your motivation for writing the documentary, seeing that many have written about Gukurahundi. A lot of people have written about Gukurahundi. What made you take this approach or angle, and how is your documentary going to be different from all the other accounts that we have heard about Gukurahundi?
Okay, what made me to let me start from what made me to do a research about Gukurahundi is, I grew up in Mashonaland, and there has been some misconception as to what happened during the time of Gukurahundi, because a lot of people have been told that Gukurahundi, it was a war between Shonas and Develes. It was a way of Shonas trying to get back in Develes, and even up until today, some people, they still justify Gukurahundi. And as I was doing my research, what made me even more interested was I found out, according to my research, that the very same people that are in the leadership of the country, like our current president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, they were very much active. They were actually responsible. So that's what made me more interested in the story. And it's a pity that as a country, it's being led by the same government, by the same people who committed the genocide, and they're trying as much to get away with it. Why am I saying Emmerson Mnangagwa was involved? Emmerson Mnangagwa, by then, when Gukurahundi started, he was the Minister of State Security, which means he was responsible for the Central Intelligence Organization. And just before the 5th Brigade were deployed in Matabeleland, the ZAPU offices were were ransacked by Central Intelligence. They took all the names of the party structures in Matabeleland and Midlands. And when they were deployed there, the first thing that they did was to look for those people in the party structures of ZAPU and murdered them and killed them. So, and again, stepping into 1984, when they introduced what they called an interrogation camp, which is Balahwe. I would like to call it a concentration camp, not interrogation camp, because a lot of people were killed there. The same Central Intelligence that Mnangagwa was responsible for, those are the same intelligence that was killing people again in 1984. And just when in 1985, after Sidney Sekrama had introduced the Chamba inquiry, there was a commission that was launched by Sidney Sekrama, who was the Minister of Defense. It's called Chambako Inquiry. In 1985, Mnangagwa stood to say Chambako Inquiry it won't be made public, even though he had promised that the inquiry would be made public. So he was involved. There's no way that he can say he was involved. And just from the other threats that were given people during the time of Gukurahundi, he made so many rallies threatening people, like the one that he did even in Victoria Falls, where he warned that when he even quoted that blessed are those who follow the path of the government ways, and woe unto those who choose to collaborate with the dissidents, for who shorten their stay on earth. That was one of his threats again. And when he was saying those who choose to collaborate with dissidents, he was referring to the ZAPU supporters who were unarmed, who didn't do anything wrong, innocent people. So he was involved.
Oh my goodness! So this statement that you just said, it sounds very familiar, because Emerson Mnangagwa said a very, very familiar statement. Blessed are those that will follow the push of the government, and for their days on earth will be increased. Mnangagwa said something like that when he was referring to people that were demonstrating, referring to doctors, referring to teachers, referring to lawyers that are helping MDC people. Barbra, you remember that, right? Leader Barbra?
Yes.
So
because
he was just repeating the same statement. Oh my goodness.
Yes, because I think it is a way of doing things, Chief. Maybe it's like it's like someone was saying ZANU-PF is like a cult, a cult that they believe in killing, in sucking blood, killing people. They stay in for them to stay in power, they have to kill. So this one, I think it's something like a verse, and it motivates him to do whatever he is doing. And I like the fact that Chauke is bringing to say kuti Gukurahundi, when it was initiated, Mnangagwa was the helm of it, being the Minister of State Security, ndiye mastermind wachona. So kumele sibone ukuthi uMnangagwa must come clean. uMnangagwa kumele aqede indaba yeGukurahundi, because nguye wayiqalisa.
He was the architect of Gukurahundi. But I'm just shocked here with the words that he said in 1983, and then he repeated the very same words, repeating them against MDC activists. Paya paita kuti upenyu hwevanhu huchaunyana ukateerera zvinoitwa neZANU-PF, upenyu hwako hunowedzerwa. Ukaramba uchiteerera zvinotaurwa naChamisa neMDC, upenyu hwako huchaunyana. It's a similar statement. This man wants to repeat another Gukurahundi. He wants to do another Gukurahundi, and he's prepared to do that.
Yeah, it's something that he always does, threatening, because if if somebody is going to stand and say, if you don't do this, we'll shorten your stay on earth, it means we are going to kill you. He's not hiding anything. He's telling people that I'm a murderer, I'm a killer. So the government of ZANU-PF, it has a legacy of torture, it has a legacy of rape, it has a legacy of violence. Because if Gukurahundi was really targeted on dissidents, as they claim, dissidents, they lived in the bushes. Why they didn't pursue the dissidents in the bushes? Rather, they didn't do all of that. They went to unarmed civilians and killed them. You understand? How does raping a school child deal with the dissidents? How does killing unarmed people, unarmed civilians who are just trying to live their life, how does that deal with dissidents? So it wasn't targeted on dissidents. It was just an issue of destroying Zapu stronghold, which is Matebele and then Midlands.
Leader Barbara, you can go through the people's comments there and ask the next question. This is shocking, you know.
Okay, Chief. Thank you so much. How are you, our viewers there? We didn't greet you. I can see Ntombi Ncube. How are you, Clopas? Mpilo Diwali. How are you, Elizabeth Mbua? How are you, Henry Msikawan? Henry Msikawan anofanwa kupiwa trophy, Chief. Anzi Xavi Chidawanyika. How are you? Ntombi Ncube is saying Gukurahundi mina ngizonda umnangagwa wholeheartedly. Hanzi na Clopas. So Hanzi na Clopas Mpilo, how do we get the film?
We're going to
Elizabeth,
get to that. We're going to get to that at the end of the program. We'll be telling you all about that.
Yes. Hanzi na Henry Msikawan said unresolved political persecution, even that happened in Matebeleland, where thousands of innocent citizens were massacred. And then this Xavi Chidawanyika is saying, he recently said in the Independence interview that he was also the chairman of JOC since that time. Rufaro Cynthia Dewa, how are you? Yes, these are the only comments that I have at the moment. Some have disappeared.
Yeah, and you can see those pictures, Leader Barbara, of people, tied on their hands at the back, and all these people were killed. I can tell you that. And when we say the number is more than 20,000, people think they say we are exaggerating. Look at that. This is Zimbabwe. This is not Mozambique.
Those are mass graves.
When we talk about these things, our haters say we are exaggerating. But this is exactly what was happening in Zimbabwe during that time. And the mastermind of all these atrocities is none other than Emmerson Mnangagwa. This is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It is. Comrade Chauke, njoba ubhale ifilm yakho le eGukurahundi awuyesabi yini na? Nxa sikhangele kathesi into ezenzakalayo eZimbabwe, ungakhuluma kuphela uphikisa uhulumende uyabotshwa, ungakhuluma ama-journalist ayabotshwa, ama-political activists bayabotshwa, ama-trade unionist ayabotshwa. Wena manje njengoba usubuye le ndaba leyi ekade ifuna ukuvalwavalwa, uMnangagwa engena le new dispensation yakhe wayefuna ukumbambatha indaba leyi, wathatha abanye abantu eMatebeleland wayenze ngazani bona sebefuna ukuyivalavala ukuthi bavale indaba leyi, of which abantu bavuka ubhova bathi ayisikho esikufunayo. Wena awuyesabi yini na? Are you not afraid, since you have touched a very sensitive issue according to ZANU-PF?
Okay, mangithi into yokuqala ne. What has been happening from the time of Gukurahundi?
Mr. Chauke.
You can't.
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm saying is, just from the time of Gukurahundi, into
You're still on mute.
I'm still on mute.
We can hear him.
You can hear me.
Okay. So it's me only. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, ngithi into yokuqala ne. Into beyenzekadayo during the time eGukurahundi ukuthi abantu mabafuna ukukhuluma bayaboshwa and so forth. This is what is happening even now. So ukusaba khona, I'm not afraid, as long as if I'm telling the truth. I think that's what is the most important thing. Ukuthi iqiniso liphume.
Yeah. Ngiyavumelana lawe. Abantu kumele batshelwe iqiniso, ikakhulu kathesi kukhanya izinto ezenzakala kathesi ku-opposition, that's the same things ezazenzakala kuZAPU, ukuthathelwa ama-properties, ukubotshwa, ukufonyelwa enye iphathi engela mazinyo ukuthi abantu babelieve ukuthi le yi-opposition eyiyo ukwenze ukuthi bona babe njani ba-maintain that lokhu belengqondo yona leyana e-one party state abakasuki i-ZANU-PF lokhu ile-agenda yona leyana e-one party state because babona ukuthi kungaba le-opposition abasoze bakapule kuhle.
Anyway, moving on, let's see what our viewers are writing here. Freedom Sivanda, I think both Ndebele and Shona must know the real enemy, ZANU-PF. Some people still think it was a tribal war or civil war. This was a genocide. Let's work together to create a new dispensation of after the demise of ZANU-PF. I totally agree with you, Freedom Sibanda. We need the real new dispensation. The so-called new dispensation, there is nothing new about it. My sister Anna Mbaiwa, please send a copy to Lillian Timvias and Douglas Monzora. We will do. They have to know, the people that they are dining with. They have to know that these are murderers. These are genociders. These are people who don't care about the people. And I'm seeing that they don't care anymore, Timvias and Monzora. They've joined the enemy. This is really painful, Ernest Vurayai. And I want Mr. Chauke, we hear you. Yeah, they were hearing you, but I wasn't hearing him. Isaac Mugocheki, Taneta Nemuka, inonzi ZANU-PF. Yeah, it's a real animal. Standezile Sharon, Anzu Urite Wena Chauke, Tandela, Ikliniso. Hey. Padla Barbra, Baudalida Barbra. That's why you are here. But anyway, I just want to move on. Leader Barbara, please, you can read Sharon's statement after I ask Mr. Chauke this question that people want to hear. People are waiting to hear, Mr. Chauke, when this documentary will start. Do you have any time frames? I know you've already finished writing it. You're about to release the documentary. When do you have any time frames? When you think the documentary will be ready to be broadcasted, and where is it going to be broadcasted? I don't want to preempt you, but before you answer, while is to think about that, Leader Barbara, can you just go through that statement? I read in the vele, but
Hanzi uStandazile Sharon Moyo says right wena Chauke nyikuthandela hanzi nyikuthandela iqiniso aliqedi bunini.
Oh, thank you.
Hanzi ndokudira chokwadi hachipedzi ukama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Powerful. Okay, you can go ahead, Mr. Chauke.
Okay, the documentary is gonna be aired on Change Radio on Sundays at 6 o'clock. People, they should expect it just between the end of May and the beginning of June. Can you hear me?
Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you.
No, I'm not hearing what he's saying, so you can go ahead.
Okay. Comrade Chauke.
Yes.
Your last words. Amazwi akho okugcina ebantwini beZimbabwe ngendaba le eGukurahundi lama human rights violations. Your last words to the people of Zimbabwe on the issue of Gukurahundi and human rights. Amazwi akho okugcina ebantwini beZimbabwe ngodaba lweGukurahundi lama human rights la ayephulwa nsuku zonke iZANU-PF.
Okay. What I would like to say about Gukurahundi is people, they shouldn't close the chapter till the truth is. Till the truth has come out, and we have to fight till Mnangagwa come clean and say and apologize and perhaps, I mean, go to the court of law and stand in court for his actions because he committed a genocide. So if we ignore that story, I think the human rights abuse will continue. We can see what is happening now is the same thing that has been happening in the past. Look what was happening with Hopo Chingono. This is the very same thing that was happening in the time of Gukurahundi. The first journalist who reported the story of Gukurahundi on I think it was in Chronicles. What's his name? Nikoro. He was deported despite having a Zimbabwean citizenship. So journalism is still treated as crime. So if we don't do anything about it, if we close that chapter, the very same thing will continue even today.
Yeah. Siyabonga. Chief, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. There's Clive Todd here is asking a question to Mr. Chauke. How is the concept involving Renamo, the apartheid regime, and funding ZAPU to make ZAPU the Renamo in Zimbabwe? And this resulted in Mugabe releasing the 5th Brigade. Is this addressed in the documentary? Because if there's gonna be a detailed account, let it cover all essentials.
Yeah, that part is touched as well in the documentary. Is there?
Someone saying Stanley Sharara Mutandwa is saying why they call it moment of madness.
Calling it a moment of madness, it was just Mugabe. He couldn't admit. He was just trying to cover up. He couldn't agree to what he did. But calling it a moment of madness, it was truly madness. But it was madness in what way? That question should be asked. Because I mean, the only thing that he could do, rather than saying it was a moment of madness, it was to apologize and admit. Even Mnangagwa himself, just in 2018 when he was at the WEF, he refused the number of 20,000 people. He even refused to apologize. So calling a genocide a moment of madness, it has to be looked in madness in what way? He didn't explain that.
Yeah, madness in what way? And kuyini wakwenza ukuthi behlanyiswa yikuyini? I think
Exactly.
it was just a way of running away from the truth. And did you touch on this Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Do you think
Yes,
it's effective?
No, it's not effective at all. It's not, because the only thing that they have to do, if they want anything to be effective, they must release the inquiry. Because remember, during the time when it was launched, a lot of people, they went there, they testified. Even one of the people who went there, it was Mike Orred, who was the chairperson of CCJP. He even went with so much evidence, and then they decided to hide it. So if they are to bring Chambak, the findings of Chambak inquiry, I think we can start from there.
Okay, Ulungile Dube is saying siyabonga Chauke, mina ngaphelelwa izihlobo ezingu-11 zijikelwa emgodini eValagwe. I think you also touched on this issue, Balagwe issue. Eh?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Over to you, Chief.
Thank you so much, Leader Barbara. Thank you, Mr. Chauke. There you are, Zimbabweans. The documentary is coming, and I want to announce to Zimbabweans here that this will be the first production of Change Radio. It's going to be broadcast exclusively on Change Radio. It's our own production, working, of course, in partnership with the writer, Mr. Chauke. So let's look forward to that documentary. It will be coming very soon, and we're going to start, advertising. You will see the flyers, you will see the posters. Share them as widely as you can. Let's begin to talk about this. And when you see the video adverts that we are going to be churning out as soon as next week. Please share them with as many Zimbabweans as possible. Let's know our history. But the bottom line of what we are trying to do here, as someone wrote, is that Zimbabweans, we are one. Whether you are Shona, Ndebele, Kalanga, Karanga, Manyika, Vitori, or any other race in Zimbabwe, we are all one. Simunye. Let's not be divided by one person. Let's not be divided by ZANU-PF. We are Zimbabweans, one Zimbabwe, one nation. And that is what this documentary is trying to show Zimbabweans, that it was not our fault. It was not ZAPU's fault. It was purely ZANU-PF's fault. They wanted a one-party state, a de facto one-party state. And of course, they failed, and they are going to fail again if Zimbabweans remain united. Thank you so much to all our viewers and listeners on Change Radio and right here on ZimEye. We appreciate you. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chauke.
Thank you.
You are more in.